The divine masculine energy has been operating from a place of control and self-protection for a long time. This is not because of lack of feeling, but because feeling without tools to process it creates overwhelm. When emotions feel unmanageable, the nervous system defaults to logic, distraction, or avoidance as a survival strategy. That strategy worked for a while, but it is no longer holding. What is changing now is not the desire for connection, but the ability to ignore it. Emotional suppression has a cost. Over time, it shows up as dissatisfaction, restlessness, numbness, or a sense that life is moving forward without meaning. When avoidance creates more discomfort than vulnerability, the psyche is forced to reevaluate its defenses. That is the pressure point many are reaching. This realization does not come with instant courage. Awareness often arrives first as discomfort because the old identity no longer fits, but the new one is not fully formed yet. This is why many divine masculine counterparts appear withdrawn, distracted, or internally conflicted rather than decisive. The internal structure is reorganizing, and that takes energy. At the same time, the divine feminine energy is shifting in a different way. The exhaustion many are feeling is not weakness or loss of hope. It is a natural result of carrying emotional awareness, relational insight, and intuitive labor for too long without reciprocity. When that energy withdraws, it does so to restore balance, not to punish or provoke. This is why many are feeling less attached to outcomes right now. Detachment is often misunderstood as giving up, but in reality, it is the moment when self-trust replaces waiting. When someone stops needing external confirmation to stay grounded in their truth, the dynamic changes automatically because the energetic roles are no longer skewed. What happens next depends on what each person does with this awareness. Some will choose growth and accountability because the discomfort pushes them towards honesty. Others will resist longer because familiarity still feels safer than transformation. Awareness does not force action, but it removes excuses. The important thing to understand is that this shift is not about reunion, timing, or someone finally choosing you. It's about integrity. When you stay aligned with yourself, you stop managing, anticipating, or compensating for another person's inner process. From that place, whatever aligns can meet you without distortion, and whatever does not no longer has access to your energy. That is the real shift taking place, not movement towards someone else, but movement back into self-coherence. Everything else follows from there. I want to add one thing from my own journey because this is where I see people get confused. This shift didn't feel empowering at first. It felt neutral. It felt like no longer needing answers to stay steady. That's when I realized the dynamic had already changed, even though nothing on the surface had moved yet. What I want to talk about next is the part that rarely gets explained clearly because it challenges the romantic framing most people are used to. Across thousands of shared experiences, one pattern shows up again and again. The determining factor in these connections is not love, synchronicities, or spiritual labels. It is the nervous system capacity. Very often, the divine masculine counterpart reaches awareness before they have the internal structure to act on it. Insights arrives, but regulation does not. That creates a gap where truth is felt but cannot yet be embodied. In that gap, withdrawal and avoidance are not signs of indifference. They are signs that the system does not yet know how to hold truth without destabilizing itself. This is why awareness often increases pressure instead of relief. When insight arrives before regulation, the nervous system experiences it as a threat rather than freedom. Many people interpret this phase as regression, but it's actually exposure. Old defenses are no longer working, and new ones have not yet been built. Another dynamic that is rarely named is emotional role polarization. In many twin flame connections, one person becomes the processor, the reflector, the one who names the truth for both. The other benefits from that awareness without having to metabolize it internally. Over time, this creates an imbalance that looks like devotion on one side and stagnation on the other. But it is really a mismatch in nervous system responsibility. When the divine feminine energy pulls back, it is often the first time the system equalizes. This is not abandonment, it is the removal of scaffolding. Without someone else holding the emotional field, the other system is forced to either develop its own internal support or collapse further into avoidance. That moment is the real fork in the road. Another misunderstood phase is latency. Latency is the period between awareness and embodiment. During latency, nothing visible happens. Internally, however, identity structures are dissolving. This phase often feels empty, unmotivated, or meaningless because the old drivers no longer work and the new ones are not online yet. This is why seeking reassurance during this phase backfires. Reassurance interrupts integration. It provides temporary relief but delays restructuring. Many connections stall here permanently because the discomfort is numbed instead of allowed to complete its cycle. Surrender is also widely misunderstood. Surrender is not letting go of the person. Surrender is letting go of the role you played in stabilizing the dynamic. When the role dissolves, the connection either reorganizes on equal footing or dissolves entirely. Both outcomes are alignment. This is why integrity matters more than outcome. Integrity means staying aligned with your internal truth even when it removes you from familiar narratives. From that place, behavior stops feeling personal and starts functioning as information. This is where the connection stops being about longing and starts being about self-authorship. Once that shift happens, there is no return to the old dynamic, even if contact resumes. The system has already reorganized. So the real question is not whether someone will come back. The real question is who you become when you stop stabilizing what is not mutual. That answer determines everything.